welcome guys. I'm Ryan. This is the Applied Economics Workshop skill series. And today we're gonna have Shunkei Kakimoto. He's gonna be talking about Xaringan.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's kind of alternative to PowerPoint, an alternative to Beamer, and some exciting components here. And in the second half, we're gonna have Matt Braaksma, who's gonna talk about a bit of the Reveal JavaScript, I think is the back end of what's happening so that you can kind of incorporate this a bit more. So let's welcome Shunkei and Matt.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, let me screen. Thank you, Ryan, and then thank you for having me this seminar. And I'm excited to present the Xaringan's presentation style today. So, so I was a TA for this year. I was a TA for econometrics and microeconomics, and then I've been using this Xaringan style presentations for my dissertations, especially econometrics. I heard that some students appreciated some features of this Xaringan presentation. So today I want to share some useful functionalities of Xaringan and what it looks like. Okay, so this is today's outline. So first, I'm going to talk about what is Xaringan and why it could be your best friend. And the second, I'll show some example slides, Xaringan slides, and then I'll talk about some extensions package related to Xaringan presentation. And then finally, the Matt is going to talk about the Quarto Reveal.js slides, which is pretty similar to Xaringan style presentation, but I think this could be the next, like, I think I see that this Quarto Reveal.js slides has been getting more popular in recent years than Xaringan. So Matt will explain about it. Okay. So what is Xaringan? So here, so actually it's pretty funny because the name Xaringan comes from the famous Japanese anime Naruto, and which is a famous anime about ninjas with special power. And unfortunately, I'm not the stereotypical Japanese person. I haven't watched Naruto that much. And then, but I played lots of video games of Naruto, and then so the Sharingan is actually a two-part ability. One is Eye of Insight, and the other one is Eye of Hypnotism. And I didn't know about Sharingan, and I asked my girlfriend, and she knows much better than me. And so the Eye of Insight, so allows the users to see the things that would otherwise not be able to see, and to also copy, and it also allows users to copy and memorize about anything they see. And the other ability called Eye of Hypnotism put the opponent into our trance. So then this is the quote from Xie, who is the person developed this Sharingan package. And he said that a presentation is basically a way to communicate insights to the audience, and a great presentation may even hypnotize the audience. So that's actually, the whole purpose of this Sharingan presentation style. So let's see how it works. So what does Xaringan do? So, well, the Xaringan is a package, our package, but it's not doing anything about making a presentations and something. It's just our Markdown extension based on JavaScript library called Reveal.js to generate HTML5 presentations. So there are multiple components multiple components are involved to create cool HTML files, right? The first of all, so this JavaScript, JS, and Markdown. So this JavaScript actually like creates like dynamic motions on interactivity on HTML5, and Markdown is just a simple text like editor, and the Remark.js is a combination of these two functions, and the Xaringan connects this like cool function that Remark.js has, connects these functions to our Markdown. So by doing so, Xaringan introduced is called our object into the HTML5 slice with like dynamic motion and dynamic motions. Okay, so why Xaringan might be your new presentation tool? So this is my opinion. I like Xaringan presentation mainly because you can write everything in our Markdown. So I basically use R to write up, do analysis and write a paper. And, I want to do everything within R. So, the Xaringan is one of the options to do, allow me to do presentation with R. So that's the main thing. And the second reason, this one is also related to the first one. You can easily incorporate figures and tables created with R. So for example, well, yeah, of course, the Xaringan is R Markdown. So you can work on figures and table within the Xaringan R Markdown file. And so this is my usual workflow. I create all the figures and table in a single R Markdown file called figure results R Markdown file, R Markdown. And then I'll call this file on the Xaringan R Markdown using this chunk. And then by doing so, I can directly call those objects stored in this R Markdown file into my Xaringan slides. And also, in terms of functionality, there are also some functional functions in Xaringan. For example, like code highlighter or clipboard. This clipboard allows the students to copy the codes with single click, and the students can paste that code on their RStudio with the same format. Is pretty, it's very convenient. Like in a PDF style, the style is kind of, if you copy and paste on with PDF slides, then sometimes the styles becomes messy. So yeah, and then yeah, and also maybe this might be the another point is that Xaringan slides allows interactive presentations, which potentially make your presentation more intriguing and fun. Well, in the academic presentation, I think this kind of fanciness is not required, But in terms of teaching, if you do TA in the next semester, then maybe, this kind of functionalities might helpful for students and makes your slides more attractive. Okay, so let's see the example of Xaringan slides. So this one, the header, you can use single sharp mark to use header, and I think these are the pretty common. I think you already know how this works. This is pretty similar to the normal R Markdown. And then you can make two columns using this full left and full right command. And also you can make a color box like this. And also And in terms of math, latex commands works fine most of the time. It's not complete, but well, so far it's okay with for me in teaching like econometrics and microeconomics. So in line equation, you can use the single dollar mark, and then for like equations, you can use double dollar marks. And then you can, so this is a little bit more complicated equations. You can use like begin align like function, latex function to write a utility maximization problem like this. Okay, so figures. So this is the figure I created to explain the Jensen's inequality. So you can create a nice figures like this, and then this is another figure. So since this and Xaringan slides are browser-based slides, the Xaringan works well with leaflet package, and this is the map that I created. So do you know what this blue area indicate? Watershed, yes, aquifer. It's a high plane aquifer. So and then like you can zoom like this. For example, just for fun. Okay, so table.
Really quick, if you go back to the figures and stuff, so like, I know leaflet, like that's just a leaflet feature, but if you go back to like the figures, does it allow, because it's got that JavaScript, can you have dynamicism where like you zoom in on the graph and then the X and Y axis like will scope, or is that an entirely different sort of, you see them sometimes on websites, and that's clearly JavaScript. And I was wondering if that's just an easy component to add.
So far I've never seen that
Okay.
kind of figure, but I think there is like some function to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so this is so about tables. So this is the code to run regressions. So to make a table, to make regression tables, model summary and GT package works well with Xaringan, and then the final output regression results looks like this. Nice. Okay, so the one thing, one of the big advantage of using HTML browser-based slides is that you can introduce the dynamic like animation. So here I created this. I created to explain the PD relationship between probability density function and cumulative density functions. Normally we run like CDF and PDF with these like equations, right? So the CDF is the integral of PDF, and PDF by definition is like a derivative of CDF. So what does this mean? That's actually important point. And if you can, show this kind of like, animation, then I think the students is more easy to understand. Let's say like PDF, this P, indicates the probability. So the P corresponds to the area of the PDF, which is, what this part means, kind of stuff. Okay, so this is another like animation that I created. So here I try to explain the measurement error in linear regressions. So the blue dots is the observation without measurement errors in X, independent variable. And if we introduce measurement errors in X, which is, these blue dots, moves randomly, and then we see the attenuation bias, that's the slope of the regressions becomes slope of the regression estimates is attenuated. Not just we mostly run like attenuation bias within like equations, but if we visualize what's happening exactly, using like animation, that would be cool, I guess. Okay, so the citation, you can do like use div file to do citations. And so to do so, you can use the div manage R package. I pasted link here if you are curious. And then, so there are like mainly two functions, cited and cited. For cited functions is for inline text citations. For example, if you use like cited functions like this, and then the output looks like this. And then meanwhile, the cited is for inline parenthetical citations. So you can see the difference between cited and cited, cited and cited. And then in the final slides, you can show all the Oreo references using big biography, print biography functions like this. And I forgot to mention, so like this is the like a clipboard. So if you hit this button, then you can easily copy this chunk and you can paste it on our Markdown, no, our studio. Okay, so this is the useful key cut. So there are useful key shortcut keys in Xaringan presentations. For example, if you hit O, tile views, you can overview the entire slice. When I hit O, then you can see all the figures, slides.
So quick question on navigation. Like a nice feature of Beamer, right, is that you can always click these references to other slides.
Oh,
Is that an easy feature of this, where you can say, this slide is called A, and whenever I have label A, I have a click button.
yes, yeah. So you can do that. So for example, let's go back to here. So I embedded like, so if you hit like interaction here, then you can go to interaction. So that I think the same functionality, yeah, you can use the same function as in Beamer. Well, yeah. But I don't know yeah, I think you can also move one slide to another slide, not just like going to the like each
Headers.
chapter. Yeah, headers. Yeah. So let's go back. Finally. So you can easily convert HTML to PDF size using the to PDF function of render this package. So according to the website, I think I've never tried, but this function also works with Quarto Reveal.js tries. And then the syntax looks like this. So like you hit pass to your Markdown file or HTML file or URL, you can put whatever here. And then I'll use complex size and partial size. The complex size, if you specify complex size equal to, then these functions figure out how to create PDF if you have like a complex like tab style size. Yeah, it's too much information. And then this is just a partial like functions that I mainly use. So, I would recommend you that, you go to the original website explaining about the Xaringan and then see you can see lots of functions there. So you can easily create the Xaringan slides. The most easiest way is to like first you open our studio. If you don't have like Xaringan packages yet, so then you can install the packages like this. And then go to this button, like new file icon, and then select our markdown. And then this windows will be popped up. So you select from template, and you can select Ninja presentations and hit OK. Then you will see this kind of our markdown files. And to compile this file, you can use, just click button here. And after that, you can get this slice. This is like a template slice created by Share. So I embedded, oops. So like, this is the slice that you can see.
So Shunkei, you put slides in your slides?
Yeah, slides in the slides. Isn't it cool? So yeah, there is a function called like embed like URL functions. So yeah, this is convenient. So the basic components of Sharingan package, Sharingan slides, it's very basic, right? First, we specify class. I want to show how it looks like. So this is the our markdown file that I create for this for my presentations. So you can see this like three like this creates the new slice. So from here to another three dots here, this is the one slide and cross it. So I specify middle. So this means that all the character, the like sentences are like, gathered in the middle. And then, like I use like double sharp marks here to indicate this is a header to level 2. And you can put like presentation notes using these triple question marks. And so let's say if I hit here a P, then you can see your presentation notes here. And let's see. So if I hit C, then it creates the copy of this slice. Then let's say, then these two, I think, slides coordinate each other. So this is our coolest functions that Sharingan has. Okay. Next. And then, of course, this is like our markdown file. We have, I don't know how to pronounce yum header. So the template that I showed you before, the yum header looks like this. But you can own CSS. Like this. So I created this CSS by myself to like matches like UML color, orange and I don't know, yeah. So, but this is pretty like difficult, and it takes me like 2 days to figure it out. So that was CSS. CSS stands for a cascading style sheet, and then it makes the appearance of your style, your slides stylish. The creating or modifying a CSS file is a daunting task, and I think it requires like detailed knowledge. But the good news is that we have package to create CSS file, which is called Xaringan Simmer. So, for example, if you can use style dual accent functions like this, and this creates the like a CSS file, and then the final output, final slice looks like this. So basically, you can once you created this CSS file, then you modify like color and like yeah, you can modify like this. This is hex code, and you can also modify like the font type and so on. And I wanna, XaringanExtra is pretty cool. This is another package, and it offers extensional functionalities to Xaringan slides. So let's say, so these pipes are my favorite. So tilt view I showed you before. If you hit O, then you can see all the slides here. And panel set is the oops. So panel set means you can have multiple panels in the same slides. And clipboard is the copy button. And extra styles. Oh, okay. I think I embedded too much. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so extra styles. What extra style does? Oh yeah, like hover this arrow. Or you can highlight the code. Maybe this might be helpful if you explain codes in like econometric class. And animated CSS, this creates the animation of the slides. Let's see, this is the example. You can do move like slides like this. And the good thing is that pretty easy to use. It's just a function. So you specify, like you write the functions, not write a function, just use the functions. You can do that. Okay. So that being said, I think Sharingan is getting obsolete, unfortunately. This is cool, and I'm gonna use Sharingan slides for future. Especially making presentations to present my study. But there is another like cutting edge technology called web extension for Quarto. This combines the Quarto and the package called WebR and RStudio. And so this is how it looks like. You can write you can write codes on the slides and run the codes on the slides. So let's see, this is the example slides. And then, so let's say if you hit here, everything is run. And then, yeah. So this is like a HTML browser-based slides. Like that I'm the slides that I'm using right now, but it has lots of like more like cool functionalities, and yeah, you can play around with this.
Does it work similar to Google Colab?
Yeah, I think
Great.
yeah, I think it's pretty similar, but I think
Like in line one there, you typed like print hello world and then you ran the code.
let's say print hello world, and then on the code hello world.
So, I guess like what's the server underlining it? Like, so say you have some fancy packages or something, because it's an econometrics course and
Yeah,
you need the AER package or whatever.
you don't need to install those packages on your local computer.
And this is like free compute time
Yeah.
by RStudio.
I don't know. I just found this yesterday.
No,
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. So, go to this web page and run it more. And this is just another. This is cool. And probably I think this is cool if if you need to lead like dissertation sessions, like teaching coding, some kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, that's it from me. And you can get, so I created this, UML style like Xaringan presentation, like a CSS files on my GitHub, so you can get it and you can freely use it if you want. So that's it from me. So then Maris, okay.
Gonna ask two questions. The first with, how do you say, Shanagram?
Xaringan.
Oh, boy. Like one of the nice things about Overleaf is it's pretty good at helping you when there's compiling errors. Or at least that's like the functionality I like the most, is it generally is decent at figuring out what's wrong. How good is Xaringan with dealing with, I put a bracket in the wrong spot and now my entire document won't fit?
Yeah, so I think, well, you have used our Markdown file, right?
Yeah.
And then created HTML
Yeah.
file. And if you see like this, it's pretty much same as how our returns error.
Yeah.
I think well, the R tells you, which lines, wrong. But
Sometimes.
do you think that overread, you can easily detect which part is wrong in overread?
It's usually highlights the one. Yeah.
Oh.
And it also, yeah, it's got some functionality for that, and it's a lot more forgiving. Like if you make a bracket in the wrong spot, it'll normally compile and just say, hey, I think you forgot a bracket here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Well, if you use well, I think our studio by default has current is detector or something, if you're missing that.
Pretty good traceback system.
Yeah. And then also if you use VS Code, and then it has lots of extensions in VS Code, so you can use that.
If I was to jump in, I think that's the way you would want it. If you wanted the overleaf traceback, where it makes it a lot easier than just standard RStudio, I would suggest just setting up the VS Code with all the debugger and running it in debug. So what you like about it is it debugs well, it finds the bugs, but it allows you the option to kind of move forward if the bug isn't fatal in compiling. And VS Code's a little more flexible.
Interesting. And then the second point I have is with I'm comparing this against what I currently Overleaf is really nice in your ability to share stuff over the internet. Like I could just quickly add my colleagues to something that I'm working on and we can all work on it together. I assume that kind of functionality is a long ways away for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, collaborating with someone to make strides, the Xaringan strides. I've never tried it. I've never done that before, but
With Google Colab, when they do Jupyter Notebook, Python stuff, or
Oh.
can you just set it up for anything?
yeah. Well, I've seen like some function in what is it? XaringanExtra package, and like sharing like work and sharing stuff, I mean slides with someone else, and work the same slides together. Yeah, that's something that I need to figure it out, but I don't have.
Okay, now I have a third question, sorry. Text diagrams? Like,
Text diagram.
does it take text diagrams as well, like?
There's an RTX package.
Oh,
So if it runs in R, you can just run.
yeah.
Cool.
Also, a simple solution was put this in Dropbox, and welcome to Dropbox.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you
that's right.
Yeah, I gotta learn how to do that.
Well, yeah, so
I guess this is a good, since your Matt's gonna go next, there's other questions for Shunkei. This would, and again, thank you, Shunkei.
thank you. Okay.
Hi, I'm Matt. This is just. So I just wanted to add a few more details on Quarto, which I've been using this year. It's basically very similar to Xaringan, which I learned how to pronounce today. But you just have to download Quarto first, and it's a little different. So like Quarto generally is a little more flexible. So here's sort of the general what is Quarto. It can take in a lot more different types of code. So if you're trying to do something other than R, then this would definitely be what you want to use. And it also is much more flexible in its output, which I'll hopefully show you in a little bit. But otherwise, it's kind of the same format. So once you've learned one, you can, I think, adapt pretty easily to both. So Quarto is going to use Reveal.js, and Xaringan is going to use Remark. I don't know a lot about how this is actually working on the back end, but I think Reveal.js, it seems to me, is more actively being developed for new features, whereas Remark.js is just sort of being actively maintained. So if you are comfortable with Xaringan, I think it's worth sticking with, because if it works well enough for you, also if you're more of an R-only user, then that might be enough for you to just stick with that if you don't need the flexibility. The flexibility does come with a little more like complications and stuff like that. And I would say, what else was I gonna say? Oh, I've noticed that if you like to Google for troubleshooting issues, Quarto's new enough that there's not a ton out there. It has really good documentation on its centralized website, but if you're like trying to troubleshoot something, it may not be posted yet. So if you like want to rely on other people's problems, a lot of times if I'm trying to search for Markdown, it will like tell me to use an R package, which doesn't always work if you're using a Jupyter chunk or something like that. So I think they both work in kind of the same integration. I use Quarto in VS Code. It's nice. I especially like you can add a spell checker. Maybe you can in RStudio, and I never figured it out. But when you're making slides and you can check your spelling, it's nice. So it works well.
I
Nice.
added a spell checker and I'm like a beast.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Sounds
That
good.
doesn't come on.
Maybe yours does. I'm not sure. But oh, okay, yeah. So there's different ways to do it. VS Code just has a lot of stuff you can layer on top of it if you're trying to add stuff. And then the output, I think, is sort of a different, there are different options. So you can write Reveal.js slides in Quarto, and then you can output it to a Beamer LaTeX format or PowerPoint. The more features you use from HTML, the less useful that is because they're not like cross-compatible. So I'll maybe throw up those at the end, throw those up so you can see that it's possible, but it's not always that useful. So here's the formatting compared to the other ones. It's very similar. Here you're using the heading. You don't have to create separators in between the two, because if you just start a new heading, it will start a new slide. But so this is just from the website, and you can show, so you can start with a pretty basic setup. So this is the slightly like more complicated one I used for this presentation. So you can add a subtitle. Here's how you can add the formats. This is called clean because these are based on an extension. So it's using the CSS file, but I didn't write it myself. Is there a question?
Default, or do you have to specify all?
You'll have to specify this. Yeah, I think there's probably a way to get default ones, but so it'll just say reveal if you don't want the clean format, which I download extra. Embed resources allows you to put like the images along with the file, so you don't have to keep it all in the same structure. This is sort of straightforward. You can choose the LaTeX engine, which I don't know a ton about, but here I found KTeX seems to look the nicest. Scrolling allows for this type of thing. When it spills off, it will scroll within the slide. Code overflow puts those slides over to the next. And then I added some title slide attributes. So here I just downloaded the image, the logo from the university myself. And then I just set these as default. So if you wanted these to actually output correctly, you'd have to add a lot more details to the Beamer and PowerPoint slides there. So here's just showing the same code chunks, similar to what Shunkei already did. I'm just pulling in some random geospatial with the Tigris package, and then doing it again with a Python chunk down here. So
quick question, Matt. So I see when you hover over, there's the clipboard at the top right, so it still has the same feature, like when you're on those.
Yeah.
You have the same feature as Xaringan.
Yeah.
I was wondering with that Xaringan extension, where you could like operate with this WebR, since WebR seems to be just a package, is that,
so
you could imagine that is like an easily thing to port into this?
it seems to me that all of the R, like the R slide packages, they can be used in this just fine. It just will only work for your R chunks. So
Got it.
I believe that would work just fine here. I just haven't tried it because I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't used it as much, but yes, it should flow. You should be able to do. There's not that much, I don't think, that you can do there that you can't do here. They're just slightly different ways of doing it. So then here's the same sort of tab set thing. You can do a code fold if you want, where it puts it right there. So I just did counties and roads. And it does, I forgot how to do leaflet in R and I didn't feel like doing it. So it's easier in Python. So you can do this and then it's just showing so if you're using GeoPandas, I don't know if you know this, is pretty easy. It's just built into the spatial files. So here's roads as well. I don't know why it started zooming all the way out. But here are all the Minnesota roads that we pulled in. So those are easy to do. You can do similar tab set type things. You can also highlight the lines of code. That seems to be something that's popular. Similar equations work similar. This is our Wald estimator that I copy and pasted from last week's slides. And then there is a growing body of extensions. There are nowhere near as many as I think the Quarto specific extensions as the same as R. But here's a new one that I hadn't seen before. It just lets you add some notation. And then and it's not lining up correctly. So I only just tried this in, but it will do some things when you press R on your keyboard. So people are sort of actively developing new features for it. So here's how you would render to other formats. You would do something like this. It's just Quarto's the key command line in your like terminal or bash or whatever you use. And then you just do to Beamer, to PowerPoint straight from the markdown file, and then it will run it. You can also set up these. So an example I forgot to mention. So like this, for example, this is in a code chunk, but instead of specifying Python or R, I'm specifying Markdown. So then it puts it like this, so it doesn't do it. So instead of that, you can theoretically do terminal codes, and you would either put that through Python or through R specifically, and you can send this because you would do this in there. So here are some resources for learning more. These are just the basic Quarto documentation. And then here is, I think these are really helpful little blogs on like, if you're curious about the difference between the two and why you might prefer one over the other. I believe that this, yeah, so Quarto has the same out tile thing. It also, I've experimented with it only a little bit, but you can do sideways and like up and down if you are interested in that type of setup of your slide structure. Let me see. So this one also has a speaker view. I've used it a little bit, so it syncs up. You can also like go forward or back. This is in like a new window. So you could have like dual screens and have the speaker view in one or the other. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll pull up, let me try on your computer here. So I can show you what the Beamer slides would look like. So this is just on the GitHub, but this would be like what the Beamer generated one. So if you set it up the right way, see the scrollable is not looking as good right now. You'd have to figure out how to create the separate formatting for Beamer. And then there's also, I don't know if you can preview this on here. No, it doesn't like it, but it's a PowerPoint one that's just like blank, white, black. So yeah, and that's everything.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone have any questions for Matt or Shunkei on either formats?
I have a question. So
Sure.
you said that you don't need like separated for
Yes.
control?
Yeah.
You move this through the control to tell which is the one single thread.
Yes.
Basically using like what is it?
Yeah, if you use the two like hashtags or pounds,
What if
it
I
says
want,
there's a
I
two.
want to have like two headers in the same.
I think
Like, let's say that header level two, within the same, two medium headers in the same.
I think you can explicitly set the differences between the slides if you want to, and that will force it to do it. It just, you don't have to.
I'll be.
I guess I forgot to mention VS Code has a visual editor. If you don't like Markdown, you can pull it open in where it like renders it and then you're editing it in the editor.